Hey everyone, and welcome to Open Finance Successes and our next episode of our podcast with David, Mariana, and Pepe, all talking about some key use cases and case studies in open banking. Today we're going to jump on the AI bandwagon and talk a little bit about a use case. It's before the Gen AI days, so it's not a Gen AI case study, but it is about how a bank has been using AI for providing services. Now, all of our case studies come from our open banking value tool, which is available online at openbankingvalue.platformable.com. And here we've got one from Banca Aidexa, which we split them into two. So it's and the thing that we're looking at is ideas where there is an actual data point that discusses the value that's been generated from open banking. So it's more than just like saying, open banking is going to increase consumer choice, give new benefits to SMEs. We want to see the hard evidence. And so that's what we look at with these case studies. So here with this one, we've looked at the Banca Aidexa, and let's just run through a quick couple of points about the case study. Go back. Okay, so first of all, they've been able to provide 500 million in loans approvals. And they've been able to do that because they're offering an automatic credit decision platform that uses open banking and machine learning and allows SMEs to know in 20 minutes if their loan is financeable. So the benefit for the bank is that they've got a new loan book of 500 million. And the benefit for the SMEs is that they know whether or not their loan is approved in 20 minutes rather than waiting for days or weeks and seeing what's going to happen. What else I like about this case study is it's a good example of bank and fintech working together. So the fintech Actico is providing the credit decision platform, it seems like, to the bank, and then the bank's using that internally. So there's some of the use case case study notes. Jose Luis or Pepe, so the story of like 500 million funding, new loan applications being provided, is that's a compelling story for a bank in Italy?
Indeed. In fact, it's one of the most wanted stories for the banks. So that's what we want to hear, that's what we want to listen. And actually, that's a key for moving forward with experiences or pilots, like it could be open banking when it started, or even like you say, the data analytics, because this is AI, but it's more about how to work with the big data to streamline the decision for the loan.
And that's an interesting clarification to make. So when you're saying that it's more about big data and analytics rather than the Gen AI that's going to use probability to maybe hallucinate or tell you something that's not quite true or whatever. So does that mean it's less risky for a bank when it's looking at AI, partnering with someone externally for AI for this sort of use case, for this sort of case study?
Yes, well, it's less risky first because we have been for long already trying to get better analytics and trying to get the best of the big data. And that's something not as new and not as uncontrollable as the AI is, right? So the AI is something that all banks, we are looking forward to it, but is not within our level of security yet. For using it blindly, you need to understand that we're talking about, specifically in this use case, about the credit risk, and banks are liable about giving money to certain companies, like this case, or individuals. So we have to be really, really on the safety side when we want to rely on a system. So that's why it's better for us the previous step to the AI, which is a lot of data and how can analyze it. Because of that analysis, I can better the current scoring methods. Okay, and that's essentially what the stage all the banks are within, more than using the AI.
Right. And then how advanced is that sort of data governance maturity within banks? and fintech finance institutions that you've seen? So they've done the work over the recent years on updating their big data analytics capabilities.
Certainly. I think we have a team from big data already, like 5-6 years ago. It started first like a pilot, and then it becomes a really core team. So all products have to deal with them and try to see how can we streamline the processes thanks to the data and analytics. And I can foresee that it may happen the same with the AI. At a certain point, then a new team will be created, and there will be another core. You know that we are going like assuming the future like the present, but it takes some time.
Right. And then, so David, you've worked with, you work around understanding the importance of getting data governance right before you can then use AI solutions as well. Haven't you? Is there any advice you would give to a bank that wanted to follow this sort of approach and what they should make sure they've got in place first?
Yes, governance, put governance at the very beginning of the project. This is a clear example of the synergies between different, I would say, different technologies, which is AI on one side, APIs on the other side. In real life, integration is the key. You know, here we have an example as I mentioned. Data are exposed through APIs. In this case, it's not data; it's the results of processing that data. So you have to put a great effort on the quality of the data. So in this sense, your API governance is closely tied with data governance.
Right.
It's true that in this use case, bank which is the open banking part of the solution is in one organization, and the AI machine learning plays the data. The data part of this integration is in another company. So API governance and data governance are not as tight as it would be if it would be in only one organization, but they are coupled. So
Right.
they should be coordinated.
Right. Thanks. So also the other thing with this one, to me that struck, I know this is this has been going for a couple of years, I think, this case study. But to me also what leapt out is a trend we're seeing, particularly this year, is that it's the conversation between banks and fintech has changed, where it used to be fintech were like, we're going to disrupt the banks and take over the bank's work. And now there's a change where it's like, no, banks and fintech are partnering together to provide services to the bank customers quite often, And so fintech are actually trying to align themselves with being able to either sell to banks behind the scenes or partner with banks in other ways. How much work is involved if a bank was taking that approach of integrating, so for example, Actico's credit decision platform into their infrastructure and then providing this service to their customers via their own front end sort of thing? What's what things do banks have to think about around the technological setup of working in that sort of partnership way?
Yeah, APIs. I think that always or not always, but in most cases it's better to integrate partners in your ecosystem rather than reinvent the wheel and trying to do it on your own.
Right.
No, this of course this has you have to consider and balance this in some situations. But in general, I think it's better to create an ecosystem and add value to the ecosystem than trying to be than trying to be the whole ecosystem itself. So things here, okay, we are talking about coordinating features. So APIs are the best way to do that, just because they are simple. Anyway, this is a general rule. You have to see how to do that probably, or it could be more easier to find a point-to-point integration. You never know. You have to study its case on their own. But I think that it's better to relay on APIs, and this is a clear example of that. Open banking APIs, how you can add value to open banking, because open banking is not about credit decisions. Open banking standard. I mean, it's about payment initiation, account aggregation. This is not the scope of this feature, but you can use the API platform put in place to support open banking to provide features that are beyond open banking, and this is one.
Yeah, right. Okay, I get you. So that's right. I should have mentioned in the describing this case study, like the open banking element of this is at some point the SME customer has to agree to share their bank transaction history in order for that credit decision to be analyzed. So if they're doing that with Banca Aidexa on a Banca Aideixa's thing, then it would be the bank asking them to share that. Can they share that with their third-party provider to be able to do the credit?
Yeah, but that's open banking, But in this case, the feature, the great feature is not only open banking; it goes beyond that.
Wow, amazing. So, Mariana, what do you see as how? I want to ask you what you think about the AI regulations with your regulations hat on. But before that, what do you see as the benefits or where's the win-win or the win-win-win in or out of this for the various stakeholders?
Yeah, so as always, we try to find the benefits from both parts, no, or more if there are more parts involved. But here we see for the end consumer, of course, the simplicity of making available their information. No, they no longer have to send those, do that paperwork and send those extends bank statements and all that. So simplicity here is very, very clear. Speed is another very, very good example of a benefit that they receive, because as it says in this case, it only takes 20 minutes for the customer to get a reply from the bank. And in most cases, the disbursement of the loan takes like 48 hours instead of weeks or months. So speed is a very important benefit. Also, because of the process and because of the accuracy of the process, of the outcome, then this affordability assessment. So the customers now have access to credit, where in other cases and with other incumbents, maybe they wouldn't run it. So the credit. And there's another benefit that I see here in this case, and we would encourage the people to look at the webinar because it's very interesting of this particular case. The transparency for the customer, because they get the customer that does not get a loan, they get an explanation of why it was not granted. So I think this is very important for the user to understand, okay, I didn't get it, but I want to know why. And for the fintechs, also the benefit that we see for the bank in this case is as the account information that they get from the open banking process, it improves the credit affordability. So therefore, they have much higher quality credit. So they are lending the money to the right clients, right? What that will be translated into faster revenue growth, and also the speed of the outcome will free the staff from the bank to dedicate their time to focusing in other tasks, as improving their data modeling endeavors, for example.
Right.
And another one very important, I think, it's Mark, the AI systems also are identifying the ESG components of data. So that is very important now in these days, that everybody or many corporations and institutions are trying to align to the United Nations 2030 goals, no, which is basically ESG policies. So that's another very interesting outcome that we are seeing with this AI and open banking convergence.
Interesting. I love what you were saying about transparency as well, and being able to see the reasons why. Is that something that's being put into, so regulations for AI are being developed, and like, are the regulations saying, you know, when AI is making a decision, people should be told how that decision was made? I can see that, but that would be to me, that would be a fantastic outcome from banking or from insurance or health or anything else. You know, why you're not eligible to be on the priority waiting list for health, or why your insurance was, as it said, at this premium level, or why, you know, you're said no to with banking. Are you seeing that in any of the regulations? How are the regulations unfolding?
No, I don't see that as a rule, but I can see in this case that is like the plus, no, the plus of the service that this bank is giving to its customers. So I think I don't think that is a regulatory issue, but definitely a benefit that a company can offer to their customers, part of their service, right?
You have also been looking at the AI regulations. What's the landscape look like for regulating AI with banking and finance?
Oh yeah, well, definitely AI and automated decision making systems are attracting. They are attached to privacy concerns, of course. Therefore, the work is done around it. No, so supporting the deployment of AI into the critical operations of a company requires a robust risk management framework.
Right.
And the aim is to basically achieve transparency and security and accountability. And how do they achieve that? Like, for example, transparency, it is important to include clear policies and procedures and information disclosure and consent management practices. So the individuals or the companies know exactly how their data is going to be used. And for example, for accountability purposes, it is important to train staff on these new matters, on these new subjects, and to have the right staff and the right procedure to access the data. And for example, for security, which is very important in the digital world, it is important for organizations to identify the main vulnerabilities that can impact the AI systems, and to do the proper due diligence, right? To evaluate how is the cybersecurity maturity of their service providers, and the ones that they are including within their chain supply. So those are part of the risk management framework of the companies. So many data privacy. Sorry, yeah. I mean, many data privacy protections are already existing in the current data privacy frameworks, but maybe it will be important to have a look at how these systems can that are being used should be better protected.
Right. I know. I was sorry to interrupt a little bit. I was thinking how much that links into what Pepe was saying at the start around, like, this is the next bit of work, is setting up those you know, a sort of AI governance before doing the AI sort of testing and AI building, especially using Gen AI, and, you know, touching on that risk management and all of those issues. This is music to your ears, I imagine, as well, David. You've done quite a bit of work on AI governance.
Yeah, that's the work I'm doing on my PhD. Exactly that, you know, is in the same way that when you are designing an AI-enabled product, software product, you put security by design at the very beginning stages of the life cycle. The same happens with compliance, regulation, ethics, so on.
Fantastic. Great discussion. Any last words from anyone on on this one? How would you use this case study if you were trying to convince a bank to sort of think through that sort of next generation of what features could the bank implement based off some of the open banking infrastructure? Is this a compelling use case? Is this one of the case studies you'd show?
Yeah, I think so. It's a good example of how you can integrate APIs and AI features.
Well, me too, even I'm a bank, but I also use this use case to defend what is the open banking, embedded finance, and what's the value proposition, right? Because for us banks, it's important to understand that through these kind of use cases, you can bring up partnerships and you can bring up customers from the open market and so forth. I will have something to say about what Mariana stated before on explaining the customer why the loan was not given. That's really a difficult stuff. I mean, you have to go in really generic reasons for the customer not to feel maybe bad about why they are not given a loan. I don't know. It's something that banks usually we don't do. It's for a reason. Okay, maybe that person asking for the loan is a customer. They don't really want to face about the several reasons that the loan cannot given, and some of the reasons could be like they are in a blacklist, or they are in like political exposure list, or they are. I mean, there are so many reasons that are not nice being told. Or if I'm the customer, I won't like it to be told. So I think that's kind of how to say philosophic discussion that we can we can have aside. But I'm not convinced on that.
I love that you bring that up, just because also, I mean, one of the, I think over the podcast, it's been great to have your really practical, pragmatic view of what really would work in a bank and what wouldn't, sort of thing. And just, we've seen in the in that case study where they talk about the transparency angle, and you're saying, well, transparency doesn't really work like that really in the real world. So I think that's great. Mariana, any comeback from you?
Yeah, no, I agree with Pepe. I mean, maybe this is not as easy as it sounds to put in practice. But for example, it is important that AI systems, at least the algorithms are non-discriminatory, for example, no? So yeah, maybe you're not going to the client to tell them, I don't know, exactly the reason for non-granting the credit, but at least make sure that the AI systems are working, are non-biased, no?
Yeah,
and those are and those are not the reasons for rejecting a loan.
Right.
Agree.
That's why explainable AI and responsible AI are being key, and I think that they will be becoming more important. It's they in especially in financial systems. You have to be able to explain why you have taken the decision.
Right. I think so. There's going to be a role for So there we go. Anyone looking to set up a new business, there's a role for AI auditors, and to make sure that the AI is. So if they're not able to share the decision, there's some sort of party that you can go to actually assess whether or not that decision was fair or not, and based on all the reasons that can't be told as well as what can be told. Love it. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Thank you for a really great discussion. I think our viewers will really appreciate us looking at one of an AI use case this time around, and we'll be back. We've got a special guest for our final episode of this season. So looking forward to having a discussion about how payments and open banking work together. Thanks, everyone.
My
Thank you.
pleasure.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Very
Bye.
well. Thank you. Thank you. See you soon. Bye.